coming to you live from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania and Atlanta, Georgia. This is UnitedFanZone with Sean Gregg and Mikey Douglas.
Welcome everybody to another episode of the United Fan Zone. We have two special guests today. Unfortunately, Mikey can't be here, and well wishes to him while he's down in the hurricane. But today we have Sanjeev and we have Q from the Pittsburgh United group. So I just wanted to start off talking about the game. I'll start with you, Sanjeev. What do you think of the game?
What do I think of the game? Let's see. I think the first half we did have some semblance of control and we had chances. I think remember seeing Rashford fizz the ball into the box. Xerxes had like a lot of like nearly chances where you're like, oh, if you can get a shot away faster or just faster reaction time, maybe we'd see a different score. And then second half, it seems like we lost control. It looked like last season's United, just midfield overrun. And we get in this trend where we just keep give the ball away every 30 seconds.
Yeah.
And we did that for 10 minutes, and that's enough for Twente to get an equalizer and probably should have won. Could have won, so pretty mediocre, average. Yeah.
That's okay. Yeah, I thought the same too. First half, we controlled the ball pretty well. Nice goal by Eriksen. But again, another game where we're not clinical in front of goal. So, at the end of the day, it cost us. Q, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we have trouble converting. That seems to be a recurring theme. But my main issue with the Twente game was we lacked control once again in the midfield. Like I saw, as soon as we kind of started carrying the ball forward, we would immediately take it out to the wings. And, I think that works well and good, but that gets very predictable over time. And if you don't have a dynamic, creative midfield, then you lose control of the game. So that was like the glaring obvious thing to me from the match. But what do you think, Sean?
Yeah, I think same thing pretty much. At the end of the day, United they need to start finishing games off. I thought going wide is a great thing for me, but you also need to be able to learn to go through the middle. So that's definitely something that we need to figure out. Ugarte's still learning the role at Man United, still learning the team. So I've got no issues with him. But my main issues throughout the game and has been for a while is Ten Hag's inability to look at the game, see what isn't working, who isn't working in the game. It doesn't necessarily mean, hey, you're not my favorite player anymore. He needs to look at the game and go, hey, you're not performing today. I need to take you off. And this has been a reoccurring thing that I've seen more this year than I have before because we're rotating more this year. So I'm definitely seeing the Bruno situation. Bruno, the last couple of weeks, every Man United fan channel I've touched or looked at, watched, whatever it is, on Instagram, YouTube, they're all saying the same thing, that Bruno needs to be substituted. And I'm not saying don't start the game. He's Bruno Fernandes. He's our captain. But when he's get to the 60th minute and he's not performing, which then also stops the team performing because he's that good and that integral to Manchester United, it really makes a difference. Especially when you keep taking 𝙈𝙀 off, and 𝙈𝙀 is playing extremely well, dropping back. He's making a lot of good plays. I don't understand why Ten Hag isn't doing that. And like I said, every other channel out there is all screaming for Bruno to be taken off. What's your kind of thoughts on the inability to read the game, what's going on, and kind of take off those players that are just not performing very well? Q, do you want to start with that one?
Yeah, sure. I think my first thought was Bruno just has this immunity when it comes to Ten Hag, and and it's, in my opinion, it's somewhat rightfully deserved, but it can't be an immunity where if you're playing like shit, you can't get, you don't get subbed off. Like there can't be that level of immunity at Manchester United. I don't care who you are. Even if you're our captain, you deserve our captaincy by all means. But I think when you're sluggish, and maybe it's even just not your day. Ten Hag needs to be able to see that early on and be able to make effective subs. I thought the subs in the Twente match were questionable, to be honest. I thought certain players stayed on that should have came off, and certain players stayed on the bench for longer. I mean, I just, again, question the tactics a little bit there. What do you think, Jeeves?
Yeah, I mean, about Bruno, I love him. He's amazing technically on the ball. But then I did say during the game, I see frustrated Bruno, and frustrated Bruno is one of the worst players ever because he kept giving the ball away, makes terrible decisions. And Ten Hag doesn't seem, now that he has players that can do Bruno type things, right? You got 𝙈𝙀, you got Eriksen's from nowhere doing that stuff. Even Mainoo, to an extent, can, create chances. So now he needs to learn that he can drop Bruno when he plays like shit. And it's it doesn't seem like he's capable of doing it.
There's also something I just realized too, we put Bruno out on the right too at some point. And it's I also feel like, because again, maybe it's this immunity thing, he just puts Bruno wherever he wants. And I think Bruno, when he does that, and especially like G said, frustrated Bruno, when he's in that state, he's going to be sloppy if he's not sticking to his main task, which is creating chances. Right. You know what I mean? And I don't know. I've always wondered why we just throw him wherever. And I guess last season it was the injury crisis, but today, or the past match, I'm like, why do that?
There was that moment where he almost scored a goal, and then he slumped on the ground, and Mount had to pick him up. I was like, that's that mentality is
that's not the right mentality to have. I was questionable of the substitutions too. Why put Bruno out on the right and take Rashford off? I thought Rashford didn't have his best game this season, but he certainly didn't have his worst game in the last, season and a half. I thought he was a threat for the whole game. And to take Bruno off and take Bruno on the right and take Rashford off was a huge disservice to Rashford. But it is what it is. And, I saw his comments today that, I have to take responsibility. And until you start taking those responsibilities, though, nothing is going to change. Our fan base is completely divided right now. There are so many people that are Ten Hag out, and so many people that are just give him till Christmas, kind of like me and you, RQ. We want him to stay till at least Christmas. But on the other hand, I see where they're coming from, though. It's, if we wait till Christmas, how far are we going to be behind in the league? We've won 1 in 8 games in Europe, 1 in 8. And I think this season we've only won 2 games. This isn't something that is, that Man United can continue to wait around for with Ten Hag. I get that we're in a transition stage, but we've been in a transition stage for the last 10 years. Man United, I understand why people get fed up. I understand why they're like that. So I kind of understand their point of view of why they want Ten Hag out. I'm more of a guy I'm also willing to give him to the end of the season if we see progression and we see wins. But if we don't start seeing wins, these next 3 games, so from Sunday till the next Sunday, is a really important part for him, because if he doesn't win at least 2 of those games, I can really see him under pressure and possibly being replaced.
Yeah, and let's even look above that. We've seen how Ratcliffe and Ineos are, they're cutthroat. They're bringing in new administration. They will not tolerate mid for too much longer. I don't think they will. They already gave him, I think they threw him a bone after winning the FA Cup final, and they're like, hey, we're going to give you another shot with healthy players. I don't know how that conversation went, but it went well. But I know for a fact that Ineos will not accept mid result.
Did they just trigger an extension for him? They didn't give him a new contract.
No, they just gave him an extension. Yeah, it was an extension on his contract. It wasn't a new one. It was just an extension onto his contract. I think it
Wasn't
was.
it 2 years though?
I believe so. Yeah.
Which
Just
was
a couple
also interesting. Like, why would that be 2 years? I'm kind of
well,
curious.
it's kind of like, hey, we want to see you win, but if
if
you're not doing very well, then we don't have to pay you the full contract.
got it.
Just a couple of comments from I'm going to assume KC, seeing as it is 1878 casuals. Sometimes it feels Erik Ten Hag subs were decided before the match. It never makes sense for the game moment. Is absolutely correct. And if he doesn't win, a Tottenham shit is going to hit the fan. Yes, I actually agree. If he does not win this weekend, then I think more and more of the fan base is going to start calling for his head. Yeah. And rightly so. Me personally, I have seen the progression from him this season. I have seen it. Just we're not converting. We have wasted the most chances in the top 5 leagues, I believe, right now. But with those goals going in, we're talking about Man United in 3rd place and not Ten Hag out. So it also has to come down to the players too. It can't always be on Ten Hag because he is setting up a team. We are creating chances. We have, we've conceded 1 goal in the last 4 games. So it's not always, and I know they're against lesser oppositions, but last year we were conceding way more than that against lesser opposition. So I don't blame it all on Ten Hag. The players have to go out. They have to score. But on the other aspect, it has to be on Ten Hag to recognize when we're not scoring and the players aren't playing very well to bring them off to give the Man United more of an opportunity to score.
Yeah, I'm not personally as worried about our goals against. I think we can do fine in that territory, but I am very concerned about the goals we can score. I mean, if you look at the the teams in the top 4 of the table last Premier League season, I mean, their goal scoring numbers were insane compared to ours.
Yeah.
I don't know what it takes to be able to make this system start producing. Like you said, a lot of chances are being created. So maybe it's partially unlucky, but is it all just being unlucky? I don't know.
Yeah, it can't all just be unluck. Like these players have to start scoring. Watching the game, I know I watched every game we've used to, but this ticky-tacky around the the penalty box area, trying to be Arsenal of old, 1-2ing through the box. We have to start at least taking some shots from distance. Instead of getting this ticky-tacky around 10 defenders.
Get some deflections and
just shoot. The more you shoot, because the more you shoot, the more you shoot, the more chance you have of scoring. So, but with this, but it also comes down to like I said, when Bruno is off, Man United is off. Because when Bruno plays bad, it's like him not playing at all, and we all know what Bruno, when he's on, Man United is on. But it's the same thing with Rashford. We can't always rely on Bruno. We can't always rely on Rashford to score. I think one of Man United's biggest mistakes this summer was not signing Ivan Toney. I think signing or even somebody like Ivan Toney. 𝙈𝙊𝙍𝙀, I think, is going to be a great player. But with Rasmus Højlund being injured quite a bit, he is starting to become injury prone. I thought Man United should have signed somebody that is a 27-year-old that can get us goals. Why 𝙈𝙍𝙀 is integrated into the team. Why Rasmus Højlund, to give Rasmus Højlund a break. And I don't understand why we didn't do that considering our lack of goals last year. What are you guys do you agree? Do you think we should have gone for a cheap but reliable goal scorer?
Yeah, I mean, I think we need to give Højlund a chance, though. I think that injury was a bit unfortunate in that Arsenal friendly. But
he was injured a lot last season, though, too, remember?
Yeah, no, that's true. So I did think Ivan Toney for 40 mil, if we had the money, we definitely should have spent it on him. But I mean, I think we have goal scorers in there. There's a lot of potential. I guess it's too much potential, and we're talking about Ahmad, we're talking about Garnacho. Rashford is probably the only recognizable, has a pedigree of scoring goals. So Ivan Toney might have been a game changer in that. So
Yeah, that's just where I think if we had gotten a proven goal scorer that could have done a job at least for a year. And there's still people out there in the market that are free agents that I don't understand why we can't pick up. It's like we're not paying.
Yeah, like someone with just a very simple task, and it's just do whatever it takes to score.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
Again, don't be creative with it. You don't have to be like super fast like Højlund. No, just be scrappy enough to just put it away. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But that's kind of where, like, I honestly, and this happens a lot. This is, football now is completely different from when I was growing up. These players let the managers down time and time again. This is going to turn me on to the next point here, kind of with the talk today, of ESPN and everyone of like Ole Gunnar Solskjaer coming in as a replacement. But there's still players here that let Ole Gunnar Solskjaer down. And I know people always talk about, like, Ronaldo came in and it, affected Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. But Ten Hag dealt with it. Ten Hag dealt with the Ronaldo situation, whether it was kicking him out. So that just goes to show me that was Ole not willing to do that because he was a former player of his, teammate?
I think that Ten Hag is a way better people manager than Ole, if we're going that route. Like, yeah. Ten Hag, I've been very impressed by the way Ten Hag handled, for example, Sancho, stuff like that. Like, he's handled everything with grace, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
I think Ole was way more forgiving with players. He would just talk about immunity. I think Ole had favorites, but
he had his favorites. I can think of 4 of them that were his favorites. So yep. That's my problem with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer returning is, again, the favorites. We talk about Ten Hag having his favorites and unwilling to substitute those favorites. Just a quick comment, 1878 casuals. I totally agree about Ivan Toney. We need a mature goal scorer. Absolutely we do. And again, this is nothing on Rasmus. It's nothing on 𝙍𝙀, but, they're young, very young players who are in their second season and also first season in. So then, they're not going to be scoring a ton of goals. And right now, our 2 main people who we rely on for goals are just not playing up to their standards.
Yeah, and this is Manchester United. This is big weight to carry on your shoulders as youth and new to the league. Like, we need someone seasoned that understands the pressure of what it means to score a goal.
Yeah, and just kind of back to the Ole thing, Ole was, we're talking about taking Bruno out because he wasn't playing well. We were screaming at Ole Gunnar Solskjaer to remove Harry Maguire, and he refused to do the same thing. So why would we want a coach to come in who's only going to do the same thing that Ten Hag is doing? And Solskjaer reminds me of the England manager. You know what I mean? He's also another person that during the game doesn't see what's going on and has the inability to make a substitution. Like, in my eyes, McFred is one of the worst central defense duos ever to put on a Man United shirt. I think they were atrocious. I'm not saying that they were atrocious players. I think together they were atrocious. Harry Maguire and Lindelof is quite possibly, if you go back and all the way to the late 80s, is one of the worst centre-back pairings that we've ever had. So that, for me, and his inability to recognize those things and to not do the substitutions is one of the main reasons, 1, why he was fired, and 2, I don't want him back at Manchester United. Now, I'll say this to everyone, and I know Casey will laugh about this, is, yes, we finished second, but we finished second during COVID where there was no away fans. When we were away, it was no different than playing at home. There was no fans. So it's about as good as, LA Lakers winning the title that year. It doesn't mean they were a good team. It just, they were the better team that year. Playing at Anfield with no fans is a very easier game than playing at Anfield when, there's 70,000 fans singing at you. So to me, that doesn't really matter to me. The second during COVID is just null and void to me. And to people's point out, when they point out the fact that, if it wasn't for cheating City, we would have won the league. it doesn't matter because those charges don't go up to that season, so it doesn't really matter. That's it. That will never be taken away from City. So for me, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer isn't the right man. Both of you were texting today. You guys know who my first choice is if Ten Hag leaves, and that's Unai Emery. I think what he has done in Europe and what he has done at Aston Villa with the limited funds that he has is an incredible job. Now I know at Arsenal, he wasn't exactly the best manager, but Arsenal did win an FA Cup off the back of his team. And he has progressed and learned the English way a little bit better now. So if Erik Ten Hag goes, then we have to go all out for Unai Emery. What if Ten Hag was to leave? What's your first choices? I'll start with you, Jeeves.
I need to go back to the Ole stuff just real quick. You said that Ten Hag is a better manager than Ole. I don't think Ten Hag is a better manager.
I said that. Yeah.
So I'm not saying Ten Hag is terrible in man management, but I'm saying he has not done great with. I mean, he had to kick out Ronaldo. I think that's fine. And even the Sancho thing, obviously, I backed Ten Hag, but I wouldn't say that's examples of success. That's just like, okay, you got to do what you got to do. Ole, on the other hand, did have the team ticking until. I mean, I'm not going to blame Ronaldo too much until Ronaldo showed up and kind of, disrupted the locker room because he's the alpha when he comes in all of a sudden, and Ole couldn't deal with it. But I'm not sure Ten Hag beats Ole in that category. But regardless, I don't think Ole should come back. If I'm going back to that, and if I want to see a new coach, Unai Emery would be a snipe if we get him. That would be great. I think I like Nagelsmann. He's kind of a hipster coach, I guess, with the fancy tactics. Mm-hmm. But that might be one option.
Yeah. Just a couple of comments. I'm going to leave that one alone there, Casey. It wasn't the hardest title to win. But Michael, the 20 match seemed like a training pitch match. And he's saying, hello from Belfast. Well, thanks for tuning in Belfast, because I know for a fact that has to be 1 o'clock in the morning for you there, Michael. So I appreciate it, Bandita. So I appreciate that, buddy. It did seem like to his point, it did seem like a training pitch. There was no urge. I didn't really see any major urgency. I didn't see, it just seemed like they were playing against each other. I think the Eriksen goal, mind you, it was a great goal, but it kind of came back off of one of their players, and sitting down for him. But also talking about that, like going back and talking about his inability to make substitutions. Now, we all know that Eriksen can't play 90 minutes. I don't think Eriksen can play 60 minutes. Well, what is your guys' thoughts on why he was left on the field when we had such good midfield options on the bench? That to me was a bigger crime than Bruno not coming off.
I remember there was a quote by Eriksen, between Eriksen and Ten Hag, fighting for, he wanted to keep fighting for his position in the squad. Mm-hmm. And I think after Eriksen's Barnsley brace and then scoring in the Twente game, it would, again, Ten Hag, felt bad to take him off, even though he was a clear liability. He gave up the goal to Lambert. You know what I mean? It's so maybe they both suck at people management.
Yeah, no,
maybe I'm giving them too much credit. I don't know, but I wanted to say one comment about the Ole Gunnar Solskjaer thing, because I remember when I would watch games with him, like both of you are saying, it was super frustrating to watch him not use subs.
Yeah.
I remember seeing Ten Hag actually use some subs for a little bit, and I was like, oh, this is a breath of fresh air. Mm-hmm. And now we're complaining about the subs again, but it's not necessarily he's not using them, he's just using the wrong ones.
Yeah, but that's the same thing that Ten Hag's doing. He's using the subs.
But that's what I'm saying. I meant Ten Hag did that. Yeah.
And the Ole thing for me too is not just a Ronaldo thing. Ole would chase Sancho for 2 years. It wasn't just him. A lot of those people that Ole signed were not on. They were players that were good at their team, but they also weren't kind of players that that are young but are coming through that are going to be good. Like Sancho, we did not expect this from Sancho. We knew he had attitude problems, but we didn't expect him to be as bad as he was. The Ronaldo situation, I know that was forced upon him. I know, Alex Ferguson and Rio Ferdinand kind of pushed that because he was going to go to City. But again, like I said, G's, like, I know with Ronaldo coming in, but Ten Hag had to do with the same issues and still finished third in the season, and won a cup. And I know Ollie's won he got to the final. But Ollie just reminds me so much of, Gareth Southgate. That's the level that Ollie for me is on, is Gareth Southgate. Get to a final, just not win a game. So we have to go for someone that's more experienced, Premier League proven in my eyes. Not bringing in somebody that hasn't managed in the Premier League before. I know that kind of puts us in a sticky situation of who we can get. But like Lenny Yoro said this week, this is Manchester United. It's a lot bigger club than he expected it to be. And the stadium's bigger and, louder than he expected it to be. I don't see a problem in going for Unai Emery. I know he's going to cost. I don't see why Unai Emery wouldn't come to Manchester United over Aston Villa. At the end of the day, Villa are a good team, but they're not going to sustain that the next 10 years. Whereas Man United are always going to be up there. They're always going to have money to spend, whereas Villa are not. We saw with Douglas Luiz leaving this year. So they're a team that, for me, that has good teams, has good players, but at the end of the day, they're also picked off quite a bit by the bigger teams. So I don't see Villa being sustainable in the top four for the next 10 years. And I think Man United came knocking. Unai Emery's going to recognize that. So just a few more comments. Vandito says the crowd really wanted to get that push and desperation from the boys. Erik Ten Hag using 𝙈𝙊𝙍𝙀 inverted to cover for Eriksen. Yeah, and that's kind of an issue. And I think that when you are kind of having that game, and like you said, Q, he's done so well recently in the last, he's got 3 of our goals in the last 2 games. But you also have to recognize, like, hey, well done. You've got another goal. I'm integrating you back in the team, but you're a 31, 32-year-old player. We need to get you off, to help win this match. I don't.
There's ways to positively make that too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you can say, hey, you did your job. You got us the goal.
Yeah.
Now let's let the subs take over and finish it.
Yeah, exactly. And I think we like that.
Yeah.
I just want, who would you guys, want in if this continues and Erik Ten Hag is let go?
I don't want to think about the downfall of Erik Ten Hag. Which would mean
I'm only asking because it seems like if we don't win at least 2 of these games in the next week, this is a real possibility that he is gone.
It's probably going to be Ruud, isn't it?
I think Ruud will be interim. Yeah, I think Ruud will take the interim job. Yeah. But I don't want Man United to do what we did last time when Solskjaer came in as the interim manager and did so well that we gave him a 4-year contract. I don't want United to go back that route.
And I don't think Ruud is ready for that. He came in to be a very specific role.
Well, but he was offered. He did turn down plenty of managerial jobs to take the Man United job.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I think he wants that position, not the manager position. So interim would have to be it, I think. Yeah, I don't want. I'm with you. I don't want a run of good games and then we just give him the
job. Yeah,
right away. What do you think, Jeeves?
Yeah, I mean, he did well at PSV. He did. Was it PSV? Right?
Yeah, PSV. Yeah, he was at PSV.
So I mean, he has experience. So I'm not gonna say that if he doesn't come in and if he comes in and does well, I don't see why you wouldn't think about it. But or you're saying you're just getting rid of the entire backroom staff when Ten Hag leaves, because if you want to get someone else in, right, they're probably going to be like, no, I want my own backroom. I don't want, Ruud in the backroom. So I could see Ruud leaving in that case if he doesn't get the coaching role.
Yeah, just a couple more comments. Big up for Benito. Loving all the social media highlights. This is from Cheese. Cheese, big up, Man United fan zone. And Tito again. Most match going lads I've asked in Manchester. I think Erik ten Hag will not last the season. Yeah, you know, I'm kind of. For me, it's all about the strikers. I think the midfield is doing their job as well as they can. I think the defense is a huge improvement over the last couple of seasons for Man United, as we can see with the only game this season we've let in pretty much a ton of goals was Liverpool. So if we can start scoring, this is all going to be null and void. We're not going to be talking about this. Like, if Man United can score goals, we don't talk about Erik ten Hag leaving. It's not on the defense for letting them in. It's not on the midfield per se. I know the midfield cost us a goal yesterday, but at the end of the day, it's not on those. It's on the strikers, and it's on the attacking midfielders that we really have a problem. And talking about the backroom staff, I think, you know, there's a lot of players in this team that are going to go. And I know, you know, if Erik ten Hag goes, there's a lot of players that are going to go also. And I'm kind of excited about that. I'm also not. I just don't want to go through this again. You know, since Fergie's left, it just seems like every 2 seasons we go through this. Oh, you know, let's change a manager. We're not where we are. And I'm going to say this again, and I say it all the time. We are not Manchester United of 90s. We're not the Manchester United of 2000. We have to accept that where we are right now is we are a top 7 team. We're not first and second. We're not going to be there for a little while. And to keep expecting us to change managers every 2 seasons, my problem with doing that is you now bring in $600 million worth of Erik ten Hag players. You bring in Unai Emery, and then Unai Emery is going to want $600 million for his players. And this is where it gets lost in translation. And then we've been so bad at giving contracts. I know this year, the young people that we've signed are on good wages. They're on good wages, but not astronomical. They're not on these crappy wages like they were before. But there are still some players there that we just won't be able to get rid of. Like Anthony, for one of them. We're not going to be able to get rid of him. We're going to have to take a bigger loss on Anthony than we are on Sancho to be able to get rid of Anthony.
Casemiro was another one too. Like we were trying to get rid of Casemiro for a while.
But Casemiro is out of contract in the summer, I believe. So, you know, with him, Eriksen, Maguire, Lindelof.
Last season, though.
Yeah.
Like we were trying to sell him, but couldn't.
Yeah,
you know,
with
the weight, nobody will match those wages.
And it's not just the wages; it was also the fact that he had such a horrible year that why would someone want to sign him? I think if he had a half decent season,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a combo of both. Just a couple of more comments. Cheeseman says we are going to start scoring. We are just late bloomers. I hope so, Cheese. I really do.
That'd be great.
I love that optimism.
Yeah, I love that too. Ahmed, Rashi, Garnacho, Rasmus, Bruno, Mainu, and 𝗕𝗓 all have goals in them. Coaching staff needs to figure it out. Absolutely. And then the mid block is really giving us problems. Could really see it at Selhurst Park. That's from Badito again. Yeah, I agree with all of those comments. It's, you know, they all have goals in them, but there needs to be a killer instinct that, you know, I was hoping that Ruud could bring with him. Now, I'm not saying it won't, and it's not going to happen, but right now I'm not seeing those players with the killer instinct that Ruud van Nistelrooy had. You know,
right?
I see the balls coming in. A lot of, like, the crossing this year is way up compared to last year. Compared to like Garnacho would just run in, lose the ball, or he'd shoot from a weird angle. We're having a lot more crosses in, but our players are not in the right positions to deal with those. And this is why for me, having 𝙍𝙀 up front right now is an issue, because he's not an out-and-out striker, so he's not going to sit on that back post and wait for the ball to come across. He's going to be more around the penalty box area, dropping back. And that's not where we need him. We need him on that back post and allow the midfield to, you know, clog up that, you know, that penalty spot area. What are you guys seeing? What, you know, regarding the scoring problems? You know, I know a lot of his luck. You know, we're talking this much. And Garnacho hits that crossbar. We're talking this much to win that game. You know, at the weekend. So it is a lot of unluckiness. It is a lot of, you know, not being in the right positions. What are you guys' thoughts?
I'm only joking, but we shouldn't have let Martial go.
That is one of the wildest statements I've ever heard.
Okay, that's not true. But
Dude, he would have to be fit to play, and that was his problem.
yeah, and even when he got fit, he'd sometimes not feel like it.
Yeah.
It's a problem.
Mhm. Yeah.
But I think 𝙈𝙀𝙀, maybe I like what he does, and he could play in that number 10. And I want to see 𝙈𝙀𝙀 and 𝗦𝗶𝗴h together,
Mhm.
and that would mean dropping Bruno.
Yes.
Because I don't see the point of having Bruno, 𝗕𝗓𝗓, who also likes cutting into the little interplay, and
Mhm.
𝙈𝙀𝙀. There's too many players trying to do the same thing.
Yeah.
And based on form, I think 𝙈𝙀𝙀 probably deserves to start ahead of Bruno at this point.
Now, would you drop Bruno for the game at this weekend?
Oh, Tottenham. Yeah, I mean, if you're picking players based on form, Bruno starts on the bench.
Hey, like, I'm going to say this now. We were screaming for Harry Maguire to lose his captaincy. We were screaming for Harry Maguire to be dropped, and he was captain. So why can't we do the same with Bruno? I agree with you. I think 𝙈𝙀𝙀 starts at 10 at the weekend. I don't see why we don't. But, you know, is Ten Hag does he have the 10 balls to be able to do it?
Nah, I don't think he does. I think Bruno's captain.
Yeah, I know. I agree with you. I don't think he's going to do it, but I think he should.
Bruno
I would
can.
rather, like back to the 𝗦𝗶𝗴h and 𝙈𝙀𝙀 combo. I would rather at least see a formation that was geared towards us scoring. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that over just starting Bruno is what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
So like if it was like 𝙈𝙀𝙀 and 𝗦𝗶𝗴h together, it was like, all right, I see what you're trying to do here, and I respect that. Even if it fails, like you tried it. You know,
Yeah.
I want to see that rather than just trying the same old shit that has been kind of mid.
Yeah,
You know?
no, yeah, I agree with you. Like, I honestly think that 𝙈𝙀𝙀 should start at 10. What the people in the chat? What do you guys think? Do you think Bruno should be dropped for 𝙈𝙀𝙀 at number 10 this week? Put it in the chat and let us know. There's a couple more. We got 𝗕𝗓𝗓 is making decisions, better decisions. Exciting player. The goals will come. Cheese is saying hesitation versus killer instinct. 100% agree with this one. We seem hesitant in front of goal. No one wants to take the responsibility. And then Cheese, the crowd is going mental for players to shoot. And then Cheese is saying again, I'm with Jeeves, 𝙈𝙀𝙀 plus 𝗦𝗏. Yeah, I agree with you. I think that is the way forward for the next couple of games until, obviously, I don't think that's permanent. You know, until Bruno can really show, you know, that he's back in form. You know, you don't play him, but we can't do what we did with Rashford. We can't just keep playing Bruno and expecting him to get back into form and then hoping and hoping and hoping, because it cost us dearly last year.
Yeah, it's a very simple concept. You play the players that are in form. It makes the not in form players work harder to be in form.
Yeah.
It's a perfect model, in my opinion.
Yeah, and that's kind of what it should be. You know, that Alex Ferguson would never play David Beckham if David Beckham was crap for 3 games, you know, or 4 games. He's just not going to play him. And I understand in previous years why these players were played. You know, we didn't have a strong bench, but our bench is more than capable this year to be dealing with this, and then bring Bruno on for the last 20 minutes. And that's my problem, is this year he has no excuses to use that, oh, I don't have the players on the bench to deal with this, because he's used that in the past.
Yep.
What do you think, Jeeves?
Yeah, no, I think I agree with that. I think, I mean, Fergie would also definitely drop your bigger players.
Mm-hmm.
And speaking of Rashford, I think Rashford this season has played a lot better, and I would even dare to say he's probably our best winger right now. I know 𝗕𝗓𝗓 has done well off the bench, so yeah, I think you'd have to you'd throw Rashford in our starting 11 too, just based on he's been playing well. He's tracking back. He's trying. I mean, against Twente, I think he had a couple, little nice skill moves, and
Mm-hmm.
I think that a confident Rashford is like really dangerous. So,
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. A confident Rashford equals Ten Hag keeping his job.
That's it.
That's like a confident Bruno equals Ten Hag keeping his job. This is why I'm not one of these players that's Ten Hag out now. Like, what? Like, we don't have like Ahmed is only got, how many goals does he have this year? None in the Premier League.
No.
He has okay, so let's go with one for now. He hasn't. He scored 1 goal all season. Like, this is not, again, this is not something that he should be kept playing. You know, at the end of the day, Garnacho is our top goal scorer this year. Garnacho is phenomenal. I think he's more of a right winger than he is a left winger. So why are we not playing Garnacho? Why is Garnacho not starting? Because Garnacho can do everything that Ahmed can do and score.
Yeah, he's pushing.
Whereas Ahmed right now is doing great things, but he's just not scoring. So
yeah,
that's another thing. Like, we got to talk about dropping players that are not performing. Ahmed's not dropping, that you're not playing this year. I don't like talking about it. I want to change the subject for a second, and I know this is dear to you too, and a certain person that owns our bar. Why? I'm not going to go into whether he's good, where he's not. I want to know what your guys' thoughts are on why Anthony isn't playing. Do you think that they're falling out?
Yeah, I mean, Jeeves, you want to go first, or you want me to take a swing?
I can see Jeeves smile, so Jeeves, you go first.
Me?
Yeah.
All right.
Just remember, Jesse's probably watching.
No, I don't think he needs to fall out to not play Anthony. He's seen a lack of quality. Again, he didn't manage to beat a single Barnsley fullback. It was one, right? Like, I mean, he can't beat a League Two fullback. It's worrying. I mean, I want every United player to succeed, but yeah, he's just. I mean, he might just be one of the worst signings I've ever seen. With price tag, and I saw his highlights in Eriksen, and I was like, wow, this guy can cook fullbacks, and then he comes here, it's like, quality is just too big. It's just not there. So
yeah, I was kind of like, that was one of the things I kind of picked up on the week, because I called for him to start and like given an opportunity in the game. I called for it, like, let's start him, let's give him another opportunity. We're playing FC Twente. I didn't expect us to get outplayed for the last half hour by FC Twente. I thought this was going to be another comfortable game, the same as Barnsley, so I was more than willing to give him an opportunity. But that kind of, like we touched on it earlier, he put Bruno on the right. I'm like, why wasn't Anthony? He's played what, 8 minutes in the Premier League this year. I know he started the game. How many, sorry, Jeeves?
No, I'm just saying it's super low. Yeah,
it's a super low amount that he's played. Cheeseman is saying his confidence is completely shot. I don't think it's necessarily confidence with Anthony. I just don't think he's a Premier League player. I think the quality is too much for him in the Premier League. And this is why I was willing to give him an opportunity in Europe. I think he should have started, but I kind of picked up on that. It's like you put Bruno out on the right and you didn't bring Anthony, and Anthony was on there. And, Anthony could have... and to be perfectly honest with you, as bad as Anthony is for me, he would have played better than Bruno on the right-hand side.
Yeah, I mean, I showed you this little diagram at the pub the other day. If you just look at the rectangle of the pitch.
Showed me, yeah.
Anthony does not use this top right corner at all. When he plays, it does not get utilized unless a fullback comes in and, does the inverted fullback run. The amount of times I saw the ball even touches right foot during that match, it was like it was on one hand, man.
Yeah.
So it's like, in my opinion, when we play Anthony, it's very predictable what he will do.
Mm-hmm.
And we lose a fraction of our attacking area of the pitch.
It's funny because Bandito had said the same thing. Anthony is so predictable to bark, no creativity.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, you watch the fullbacks, like the way they defend him, like they're already blocking it before he even makes a move, because it's so predictable. All
you have to do is pretty much stay on your right foot, and you're good, because he's going to cut in.
You're good.
Manchester Mikey and overlap. Yes, he has no ability. he has the ability to do it. I know he does. I've seen it, just like you have, Jeeves, in the 𝗕𝗓𝙍𝙀. He used to go down that right a lot.
He would, yeah.
Yeah, and he just won't do it at Manchester United. He's not a fast player, and I understand that. But he's a very skillful player. And he could easily use those skills to get past that player. You know, when Ronaldo came into the league, he wasn't fast per se. You know, he was a very skillful player that used to get past players with this skill. So that's my problem. And I just wanted to kind of talk to you guys about it because it was very noticeable that he would rather play a really bad Bruno on the right rather than bring Anthony on. And just with his game time this year being so low, I just wanted to kind of get your thoughts on, you know, do you think there's a falling out there? You know, do you think he's done with Anthony?
I do.
Yeah, because Cheeseman's saying Anthony isn't playing based on that Barnsley performance. Not at the beginning of his career, he wasn't particularly fast. No, he wasn't. He was at the end of his career, yes. But if you go back and look at Ronaldo in his first season, a lot of that was tricks to get past players. You know, and he's always talked about that. Like, hey, I would, you know, I had to stop doing that. And then
bursts of pace for sure.
You know, you use your tricks. You know, get past the player, go down that right wing like you used to do in the 𝗕𝗓𝙍𝙍. But the fact that he's not willing to do that, I think it's over for him at Manchester United one way or another. Because if Ten Hag goes, Anthony goes. If Ten Hag stays, I still think Anthony goes at the end of the season.
So Anthony and 𝗕𝗓𝙍𝙀 played together.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if the chemistry is still there, but that's a little bit of hope. It's very, very little.
Yeah, like you said earlier, Jeeves. Like I'm never a guy that 100% wants to give up on a player, but when I see a player who has scored 2 goals for Manchester United in 2 years, and you're in your 3rd season at Man United, I kind of now got to the point where I just give up, you know, because I'm like, if someone says to me like, hey, you know, he's going to come good, but when? You're in the 3rd season at Man United. The only reason you scored against Barnsley is because Rashford gave you the penalty.
Yeah.
I'd also rather see him try with his right foot and, you know, maybe mess up a little bit than just touch it.
No, yeah, absolutely. If you go down that right and you get and the defender takes the ball off you, fair enough. At least you're trying to do something different. You know what I mean?
And that's what he said. I remember he said that quote. I can't remember when it was, if it was last season or in the off season, but he was like, "I've been working on my right foot" or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, well, then show it a little bit. You know, it's like, So I'm sorry, I forget whoever said confidence is shot. I agree with you, Sean. I don't think it's 100% confidence, but it's also confidence too. Like he realizes he sucks with his right foot, so he's not even trying it. He's getting berated all over media, and it's like he's a liability at this point. Like how many more chances can you give him? I obviously want the best for him. We all do, but it's been a bit too much time at this point.
Yeah, Cheese is saying Anthony lacks discipline, physicality of the league. It's frustrating him. Mane is a liability, and Ten Hag knows it. And Dito's saying I was 10 yards from Ahmed versus Palace, and he's amazing in possession. Looks to involve all other players, and ball absolutely sticks to his feet. But yeah, and that's why he is starting this year. And you know, unfortunately, say for Anthony, is the fact that you have such good young players in front of you that are only 19 and 20 per se, is the fact that they're both better than you already. And that, like, for me, it's, you know, you coming out of the start of the season and saying, hey, you're going to see a different side of me. And we didn't see it against Barnsley is a problem. Yeah. Moving on from Anthony, Tottenham game this weekend. Huge game for Erik Ten Hag. I think this is for me, other than the FA Cup final, the most important game of his career at Man United. What do you guys think?
Yeah, you want to
Jeeves, you want to take it?
Sure. Part of it, we need to beat Tottenham because I want to make fun of Big Ange and the fact that mate like 20 times a second.
Mm-hmm.
and that ridiculous high line. Like, oh man, it just we just need to beat them. But I think they'll give us chances to beat them too. Like, their defense is not good. They don't practice on set pieces, so there's opportunities. But I mean, they're aggressive, so our defense is gonna be pushed back. So we need Martinez, 𝙈𝙊𝙍𝙀, 𝗦𝗶𝗴 and 𝙈𝙍𝙍 to have a really good game. And we kind of have a wide open midfield, so
𝙈𝙊𝙍𝙀's got to start. He has to start.
𝙈𝙊𝙍𝙀 has to start.
I'm going to go with midfield is going to be 𝙈𝙊𝙍𝙀. And then who else am I going to go with?
𝗦𝗊𝙍.
Yeah, it's got to be 𝗦𝗊𝙍. It's got to be 𝙈𝙊𝙍𝙀 and 𝗦𝗊𝙍 this weekend.
And then what about Bruno though? Go back.
I think for me, I'm gonna go with my lineup here.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with a usual goalkeeper. The back four stays the same. I think other than 𝙈𝙍𝙍 comes in. So 𝗦𝗶𝗴, 𝙈𝙍𝙍, the Butcher,
Martinez,
and then 𝙈𝙍𝙍. Midfield, 𝙈𝙊𝙍𝙀, 𝗦𝗊𝙍. Left, I'm going with Rashford. Right, I'm gonna go with 𝗕𝗓𝗓 this time. Over Garnacho, and then I'm gonna go with 𝙈𝙍𝙀 and Højlund up front.
Dude, yeah, we have the exact same. I thought you were gonna put Garnacho on the right because you said to start him earlier, and I completely agree to start Ahmad on the right and then sub Garnacho on and make him just go nuts for a goal.
Yeah,
he's gonna be a super sub that game. I think the only way we don't come out of that, well, this is a very aggressive statement. I think it's gonna be a draw, but I think the only way we come out of a draw is with some super sub heroics, and I'd say Garnacho makes us win 3-2. Otherwise, I'm going to call 2-2 draw.
You're going to 2-2. Same team though.
What's that? Oh, same team as you exactly, man.
Just before I get to you, Jeeves, guys in the comments, put your team in for the weekend. Jeeves, you want to go ahead and give us your team?
Yeah, I'm gonna keep it very similar. Yeah, I want to see that Højlund 𝙈𝙍𝙍 link up. And I would honestly, the only change would be Garnacho over Ahmad's, with the intention of winning the game early and finishing it off, because the pace of Garnacho and Rashford is and Højlund is gonna have a lot of space in behind. I think we could score like 3 goals in one half and and then do whatever in the second half. Maybe bring on more technical players like Ahmad who would keep the ball, right?
Yeah.
See that.
No, that's a good point. That was something I was going to bring up like a half hour ago, and it's the importance of if we can't score volume of goals, the importance of going up early becomes massive.
Yeah.
So if we can get an early goal, that changes the entire dynamic, and we don't need to score as many goals per se to win the match because we already are gaining control with that momentum. So what I would love to see is, start scoring some early goals. I don't want to see 0-0 at half. I don't want to be desperate for a 2-1 against Twente in the 90th minute. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Don't wait that long. Get it done.
Yeah, we have the defense, because we were 1-0 up. Defense to, control the game after going 1-0 up. I think, I don't think the defense played bad in midweek. I just think it was a silly mistake and a couple of people being out of position. I don't think with that mistake happening, the fact that we only had 1 or 2 defenders back to kind of cover it, and I'm surprised 𝗦𝗴𝙗 didn't blow his knee out trying to get back as quickly as he did. A couple of seconds later, and he would have got across to block that goal. Everybody else was out, and this is why I don't like Maguire playing when we play a high line. He just doesn't have the pace to get back, and I don't think we're going to see much of Harry Maguire once Lenny Euro comes in. But yeah, I think that team. I think we need to go up early. I think we need to be clinical. And if we are going to draw, like you said, I think it needs to be a 2-2 draw for him to even for the fans to get him off of his back. We need to show we can score goals this weekend. If we can't show we got to score goals this weekend, I think that's what the frustration is about with the Man United fans. Is we're not showing we can score, and that's what's frustrating me more than anything, because I know if we can score, we're gonna be up there in the top 4. Because we're seeing teams drop points left, right, and center. So no, I called this one last year with everyone. I told everyone that Chelsea were going to be in the top 4 this year, and they will be. Chelsea are going to be a good team this year. So I think we have to start scoring goals. I think once we can get a couple rhythm games where we score 2 to 3, I know that 7-0 was like, oh, we're back. We're not back. We played Barnsley, you know. But at the end of the day, it's
that confidence didn't even last a week, man.
It didn't last a week.
Like
we need to we need to do it consecutively, week in, week out, to really get that confidence back for good. We've got a 1-0 𝙈𝙊𝙍𝙀 winner. Cheese, I'm with you, man. I've got you. I just ordered a New Jersey with 𝗕𝙁𝙀 on there, but I'm about to order the white one with 𝙈𝙊𝙍 on there, man, because I love 𝙈𝙊𝙍. Every game I'm betting on 𝙈𝙊𝙍 scoring right now.
He's to watch.
He is. Not sure if 𝗍𝙬 has the creativity. Could do a job there. He seems passenger at times. He does. He does, but he's also playing better than Bruno. So why not? What we got to lose in that situation? Or even Mason Mount. Mount's back, remember? You know, Mount's back. So
we saw Mount. I forget what match it was. It was shortly prior to the injury, but I was really impressed with his pressing. Like,
he's a pressing monster.
Yeah, I was like, if we can cause mayhem, like again with the threat we do have on the wings, it's mainly a threat when we have the team shaken up. Yeah, you know what I mean. It's we're pretty predictable when their back line's set, but if we can stir stuff up, that's when we become a threat, I think.
Yeah.
Driving the chaos.
Cheese has gone with Onana, 𝙈𝙁𝙍𝙀, 𝙊𝙍𝙀, 𝙈𝙊𝙍𝙀, Mainu, Octopus, Rashi, 𝗍𝙬, 𝙈𝙁𝙍𝙀, and Højlund. So you've gone with what we went with there, Cheese.
Yeah.
Manchester Mikey. Hope you're doing all right, Mikey. Mazraoui kit incoming. And then Mazraoui is class, Michael. So he is class. He is phenomenal. He's the signing of the season.
Already. I mean, at this rate, at this point.
Yeah. How have we upgraded on wan-Bissaka for less money? I don't get it.
Yeah.
Good business.
Yeah, it's a great deal, and he's not exactly doing too well over at West Ham right now. So it's a win-win for us. Mount off the ball is brilliant. I think Mount off the ball is the best player we have off the ball. When we're not in possession, Mount is the best player we have.
Oh yeah.
When we're not in possession. So don't clip that to say that Mount is the best player that we have. That's not what I said. I said when we don't have the ball, Mount is the best player we have. Because his progression, to go after the ball is phenomenal. Correct scores.
Wait, I have a quick question.
Yeah.
Do we start Mount instead of 𝗍𝙬 on Sunday?
No. I think Mount coming back this weekend with his injury, I think he needs to be. Yeah, I think he needs to be
subbed on.
I knew you were going to clip it, Manchester Mikey. I know you were going to clip this, and you'll clip it just before what I said. So I'm expecting this one to be on your Facebook page and everyone calling me an idiot. I know you're clipping it. But yeah, correct score. I'm gonna go a 3-1 win to Man United.
Okay.
Yeah, I think first half we're gonna score 3 goals.
I think first half we're gonna score 3 goals. Okay.
And then we're gonna concede 1 because someone passes it to the Tottenham player and they walk it in. Yeah.
Eriksen. Q, what are you going with?
I am sticking with well, no, I'm not going to stick with it, but I am serious that it'll go 2-2 draw, but the optimist in me is going to go 3-2 United. I would like to see Garnacho off the bench, make it 3-2. Go wild. Boys are back. Ten Hag till Christmas. Let's go.
Mikey's gone with 1-0 Spurs.
Oh, ouch.
Dude,
that would be awful. That would be horrendous.
I'm going to say this real quick, because someone just put in the chat here, Bandito. The Plunky Skull said that 𝙈𝙁𝙍𝙀 is no upgrade on Maguire. I don't know what Skulls. I applaud you as one of the greatest English midfielders of all time. But that comment is on par with some of the crap that Jeeves says to me sometimes. That comment is insane. To say De Ligt is no upgrade on Maguire is absolutely insane.
Hot take. Hot take.
Yeah. Scholes is on the sauce. You know, I think he's a. But like, this is why he's never been a manager. You know, this is why Gary Neville, you know, failed in Spain. You know, you can keep saying as much as you want online, but until you can go out and do it, don't comment. That's my thing.
Just stirring the pot.
Yeah, like we have discussions. We have a panel. We talk about things. What we would do. But to go out on live TV and say that De Ligt is no upgrade on Harry Maguire is one of the most insane things I've ever heard in my life. So, the past players are on drugs. Yes, they are, Mikey. They absolutely are.
I think Paul Scholes needs a hug sometimes because he always sounds so miserable.
He does. He does. I think someone should just give him a hug. So, but that's kind of it for this week, guys. We're gonna have you both back on soon. We love having you. And then Q, I'm gonna give you a call after this. I want to talk to you about something real quick. But yeah, everybody else, we'll see you on Monday. And we'll go over the game on Monday. Hopefully Manchester United win. And all I'm going to leave you with is glory, glory, Man United. And we'll see you on Monday. Peace.
Thanks for having us.
Bye.
Yes, people, what's happening with the main man here? Make sure you're subscribing to the United Fan Zone for your Man United content. Thanks, stuff.